I'm never gonna stop talking about all the pros and cons about living in different countries, especially the motherland, because what you guys might think is that it's so great, all this stuff, and that the country you're living in, America, is so shit, and blah, 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 which like both can be true, but also both can be false. Because I know after living in almost every continent at this point in multiple countries that there's not a perfect place to live, even the motherland or the country that you have always lived in. Okay, so now the pros and cons of moving back to Vietnam as a Vietnamese American. Okay, first thing is that people here are so loud, and I'm not saying any of these are pros and cons. I'm just gonna list a bunch of things and then you can decide if they're pros and cons for you, because at the end of the day, it's just what you decide. But for me, they are so loud, and that could be a good thing if you care about other people's business and you wanna hear why a couple is fighting or what's going on down the street. But that's one thing. They are so loud. Like, they don't really know how to communicate. They just be yelling, and they like to play their loud music in karaoke so that the whole neighborhood hears them. I love how community focused they are, but also this is even like, there's good and better than this, but like when you're family, like people are so committed to you, they will help you no matter what. They're willing to do anything. And that is just, I love that about like Asian culture. They're just so community focused. Collectivism, I think, is what it's called, and I'm a fan, but like with limits, because sometimes I just need my own space. Going to the motherland as an American, or maybe just after my experiences, gives me a voice. Like, I'm not afraid to speak up now when people are just accepting of anything here. I am willing to like speak up and be like, don't touch me, don't do this. But that's like just a fact, a characteristic of being able to come back, because people here aren't super rebellious or super, I don't know the word, but basically they just like don't really stand up for themselves. They just accept whatever. And I'm not like that. Something I have found really helps when moving to the motherland for multiple people who didn't just like move to Vietnam, that they have to find their own circle, and their own little bubble is like what makes it a great experience, because you're going to be different coming back to the motherland after living somewhere for so long, living abroad for so long. Like, you're not going to be the exact same as the people here for any reason. Like, even if you are surrounded by a lot of Vietnamese people where you are, like, the country you're in is still totally different than what Vietnam and Vietnamese people are like. I haven't really seen much of a hookup culture here, which maybe I'm just not participating in it and that's why, but it gives me the feeling that guys are more committed to you than they are interested in just getting laid. Drinking here is such a big thing, especially among the men. For some reason, they love to get drunk. And not only do they get drunk a lot and, you know, be loud and yelling, but sometimes, and I've seen it a lot, is that the men also kind of get violent among or between them. And I'm just like, why? Like, why y'all gotta fight in the middle of the street? And like, I've seen so much more than I've wanted about this violence. So that's just something to consider. I like did not realize how alcoholic the culture is back in Vietnam. If you've ever been to Vietnam, you know that it's also pretty cheap, and living here is so affordable. Especially if you are making money outside. So I work for myself and earn USD while I'm here, and everyone knows that if you earn USD or anything, I guess, euros could be, outside of Vietnam while living in Vietnam, you can have such a great life. Like, so many people have encouraged me to do this in the country, and that has allowed me to live in all these places. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you follow. My absolute favorite reason why I'm here is because I can do the sports that I want to do, and Vietnam is such a like geographically diverse place that you could find the sport that you love doing that you can't do in the middle of nowhere in America possibly. So I love to surf and kite surf, and I found a place here in Vietnam where I can do both. So that just like is like the cherry on top for me, and like one of the main reasons why I'm here. If you're anything like me, or where this comment came from, that video, one of your parents might want you to not be there, and one of your parents might want you to be there. I don't know, but I am constantly fighting with one of my parents that is trying to get me to leave the country so badly and not be here. And that's kind of an emotional battle I always have to fight, and sometimes I don't want to deal with it. So that could be something if you talk to your parents often. After being here a bit, I've noticed that it's safer for foreigners than it is for Vietnamese people, and slightly better if they know that you're like a VIQ, like a Vietnamese foreigner. So keep that in mind, because I was always confused actually about why I would hear people say it's safe and then my family not say it's safe, and now I know that it's because they treat people differently. But the good side about being a Vietnamese foreigner kind of is that you have a slight chance of getting in with the locals, or maybe even a better chance of getting in with the locals and getting the local prices, which helps things even be cheaper. And of course, the number one reason why I even wanted to come is because it would improve my Vietnamese, and that has helped me so much, just being naturally in the culture with people, constantly talking it, and yeah, like you're just always around it, so it helps you so much. Okay, last thing is that people are just so comfortable here, and like so comfortable at the point where they don't even work on themselves to get better, which could be fun for you if you're also like that, or not if you're not like that. That is something that kind of bothered me, because like my family wouldn't even understand like why I was going to the gym, because I need like to stay physically healthy. So that is partly, that's not just my family, by the way. That is like if you talk to someone that knows and understands the impact of the Communist Party on Vietnam, because they have grown up in it and have also left the country, then they know that it's like deeply rooted in like what they want their people to be like, because they don't want improvement, they don't want to get better, they like are okay with where they are. So that is my last pro and con of living in Vietnam as a Vietnamese American. Let me know if any of these are pros and cons for you, which ones are pros and cons, if you'd like that, if you wouldn't like that, and I just want to hear, okay? Thanks.